Hi, my name is Larry White, and on behalf of the Brooks Ranch as nominating, I will give a few remarks on the fact that in the early days before Steve and I were married, we enjoyed a lot of adventures together. And one of them we should probably talk about is when he started the Angus, registered Angus herd that he had. Doug Pope and Steve Brooks and I went to the Stevenson Ranch and he to look at the cattle one day in their cattle sale. And after the sale, of course, if anybody knew Jamie Stevenson, the refreshments were always available after the sale. And of course, Doug and I found him early, and Steve was settling up for the cattle, and so the party was on. And when Steve finally got home about 2 days later, his dad, Wayne, asked him where he'd been. And he says, well, I was at the sale. And he says, well, that's funny, your cattle are here already. And so we had lots of adventures together. Steve and I sold cattle together in the early 70s when we were both starting out. And my family's bought cattle from their genetics. My dad bought a lot of cattle from them, and when he expanded his Angus herd, and so did I. The part that's interesting about, if you're going to talk about modern day ranching, the Brooks Ranch is certainly the epitome of modern day ranching. The tools and technology and know-how have to advance modern day agriculture. They have either looked at it or used it or is part of their operation today. They have given a large amount of their time and energy into the livestock organizations that Steve has sat on. And he has got a PhD in ranching in southwest North Dakota. Steve has shown his leadership in the American Angus Association, the North Dakota Stockmen's Association, the North Dakota Angus Association, the Certified Angus Beef Program, where he was president and started, and also his brainchild was the North Dakota Bull Test. So certainly his commitment to animal agriculture in North Dakota and nationally and also internationally runs deep. The Brooks has been second to none for their commitment to agriculture. The knowledge and love of the industry is their lifestyle. They've been honored many times for their dedication to it, and many times that has been included in what their farming practices and the sustainability of ranching in southwest North Dakota and improving soil health. The Brooks history runs deep in Slope County. Claude homesteaded in 1907. His son Harold bought a ranch in 1938, which Steve is the present ranch. And then in 1960, he bought registered cattle in 1945, and that ended up to be the mainstay of the commercial cattle that we had purchased early. And it was for 61 years until they dispersed the commercial herd in 2006. They bought the Gabbard herd in 79, but the type of cattle they had and Steve's love for the type of cattle he has shaped and for 46 years. They ultrasound the bulls, they use the latest DNA technology, they use embryo transfer, they use EPDs in mating the cows, and they've always had a TMR mixing wagon for many, many years. The growth of the herd has been phenomenal in the deal. And in closing, I would like to say that the Brooks Ranch, with the careful eyes that they have had for many, many, many years, and the sustainable ideas for new technology, has led them through droughts, hailstorms, blizzards, storms, tornadoes, and all too often in southwest North Dakota. Their fences are mended, the cattle are fed when they need to be on the ranch. This is a dedication that this ranch has survived and moved forward with for many years. I have known him for 4 generations, from the cigar-chewing Harold to Steve and his families and Ryan, and I'm proud to call them my friends. That's my nomination for the Brooks Ranch.
I'm Gene Harris from Killdeer, District 2. Now, if you read Steve's bio out there, it all sounds pretty simple. He started his registered herd in '74, he bought the Rowan place in '83. Life going on, the rest is history, they say. But if you think about in '74, the average price of a cull cow was $157. '77, we had the Russian embargo on beef. In the '80s, we had the farm crisis, had 20% interest rates, and their family still prevailed through all of that. And it's a testament to how their family is committed to agriculture. The reason we don't talk about Steve Brooks as being a senator or a congressman or the governor is because agriculture is his passion. Agriculture and Angus cattle are their passion. He's made an impact across the nation in agriculture, not just in Slope County, but everywhere you go, people know Steve Brooks. He's like royalty in Slope County, but Slope County had royalty when Ashley Andrews Alderson became Miss Rodeo America. And I heard her talk about it, that she felt, she said, I knew, being from a small town in an unknown state, that I'd spend my year telling everybody about where I'm from. So she'd go somewhere and she goes, I'm from Amadon. Oh, you know Steve Brooks. That's where Steve Brooks and Oddball are from. So she said, they set the standard long before she got there. But today I want to talk about two areas that he was so instrumental in. And if you eat, or if the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution is important to you, then you owe Steve Brooks a debt of gratitude. Because he served on a lot of boards, but when he served his time on the Certified Angus Beef Board, which is the largest branded beef program in the world, and if you look at it today, the phenomenal growth that it has in the Angus business, and the cattle business, is unheard of. And then as he served as the Stockman's president in 2014 through 16. But when Steve was on the Certified Angus Beef Board, we were in Squaw Valley, California at the National Angus Conference, or National Certified Angus Beef Conference. And it was an opposite day of today. It was about 100 above. We were sitting at a table outside there. I don't know where Steve's at, but he's sitting in here. But anyway, he didn't have his hat on. The rest of us had our hats on. And we were sitting around this table with all of the brightest minds in the cattle business. And at that time, if you wanted to improve carcass in cattle, and anyway, Steve didn't have his hat on, so he sunburns the side of his head right here. You probably still have a mark there from that, but I remember that. But anyway, at that time, if you wanted to improve carcass in cattle, you had to do it through carcass evaluation in the slaughter plant on a steer sired by a bull. And they were talking about how they would move to carcass ultrasound of a live animal. And through Steve's leadership, through the CAB program, the American Angus Association, today we have genomics and DNA and all these things, all because a rancher from southwest North Dakota knew there had to be a better way and a quicker turnover than what we were doing back then. And when he took over as president of the North Dakota Stockmen's Association in 2014, that was at the same time that Measure 5 came about, where an out-of-state interest group wanted to really limit our ability to do what we would do on private property and impede our private property rights. But Steve, he's such a consensus builder, and I don't care where you go in the world, and there usually revolves around a cocktail, but he can go in a bar and not know a soul, and in about 30 minutes have 20 people around him, and if there was an election, they'd all vote for him as mayor of the city, I guarantee it. But he was able to do that with all of the ag groups and build that consensus. So when Measure 5 happened, they had such a groundswell, and a lot of people in this room were part of that we defeated that in like it was like never happened. And those out-of-state interest groups, they have never came back to North Dakota to try it again. I wonder if anybody's ever wrapped that cane around his neck when he does that. I was thinking about that when all them bulldoggers are up here. I'm like, I can't wait to see this. But after, when Steve finished as Stockman's president, he actually worked to get the extra dollar into checkoff enacted then, which has a 90% acceptance rate today. And then he went on to serve as the Stockman's Foundation president, where he is instrumental in growing the scholarship fund and improving scholarships for our youth. And it's the old saying that good guys always wear white hats, and for as long as I've known Steve Brooks, he always wore a white hat. And I figured today, as soon as I wrote that down, I said, I guarantee you he'll show up today in a black hat. But he showed up in a white hat. And the Cowboy Hall of Fame is where the good guys hang their hats. And Steve Brooks is deserving of this honor for what he has done, but what he continues to do. Thank you for your consideration.